Hello everybody, today is April 11, 2018. This video will be about how to become self-empowered. There are 3 steps in how I will explain the subject so that you have a very good understanding based on my experiences. I have grown to a point where I no longer try to keep secret my life experiences, because I know now that my life experiences, or rather life realizations, are very important to share with the world. Hopefully, I am helping you, whoever you are watching this video, become self-empowered by doing this. Why? Because I provide another view, another different point of view to the interpretation of what we call reality. Too much we are brainwashed by what the media has to say and Hollywood has to say through movies and cartoons and daytime TV shows. That we are never really presented with the only perception of reality that matters, our own. Well, by sharing my own, I am trying to help you develop your own. The first step to self-empowerment is growing up. Every single life experience we have, we are told to learn from. But the reality is, by trying to learn from it as it occurs, we forget to have the experience. So first, we must have the experience neutral, unbiased. So, for example, today it is raining. It is cold outside, wet, and super windy. Well, everyone believes we should stay inside. But I'm enjoying this. I see it as another challenge in life to make my consciousness stronger. You don't start having experiences now. Every single moment of your life has been an experience. It's just that we are conditioned to interpret reality through what others feel is important, and we forget to analyze what is important for ourselves. Sorry. I am a targeted individual everywhere I go lately. I feel it, I see it, I sense it. It's alright though. To truly understand what I mean through having experiences, you have to actually look at your entire life. If you're 20, you've had 20 years of experience. If you're 50, you've had 50 years of experience. Every single experience you had mattered, but some experiences mattered more than most. The ones that we remember as very good memories, we try to remember the most. Like, hey, you remember that one time we got drunk at that party and we did this crazy thing or that crazy thing, or remember that one time when we smoked some weed behind the corner of a bowling alley and there was a police car parked right there that saw the whole thing probably and just didn't care. And it was super rainy outside. And as I'm smoking the joint, the police car rolls by and I'm looking at the police car. I don't know if the guy's looking at me or not. I continue smoking the joint like it's normal. That experience taught me a lot, by the way. The concept of hidden in plain sight. The reason the cop didn't stop is because we did it so normally. Like we were just doing what is the right thing to do in the first place. Nothing is abnormal. Everything is normal. Anyways, experiences start from the earliest parts of your childhood. I cannot remember past a certain age. I think the earliest memories I have are 1989. I was in Romania, where I was born. Live on TV, the shooting of the former communist president and his wife. That memory, I will never forget that. I'm like, wow, look at what happened to this dictator. And his wife, they just got shot just like they were nothing. Damn, it's just crazy, right? I was 3 years old and I could not comprehend. That is because my consciousness was not fully formed. So every experience you have in life helps harden your consciousness more and more. After the age of 5, I start to have more memories. And by 7 and 8, I have a lot of memories. And I can look back now to all my life experiences since I came to this country when I was to the United States. Since I came here at the age of 11, I remember everything. All of it. Every single major event that occurred in my life. For example, I used to have a hereditary back mole that was massive in proportion. My father had it, and his father had it. So we knew it was hereditary. It was not a threat to my body or anything. But then in high school, I was doing weightlifting class. And I was doing bench presses. And the friction between my back and the bench kind of tore it up a little bit. So at that point, my father took me to the doctor. And the doctor's decision was to remove it. And the way he removed it was by cutting it off with a knife. I still remember the scraping of a knife against my back. Or surgical instrument, whatever it is. But a knife's a knife, a sharp edge, cutting. Kind of like you would cut a steak on a plate with a knife and a fork, but not at the same angle. It's parallel to the ground because I'm laying. Anyways, that's not a pleasant experience. I don't even want to recall it right now. But every experience we have that helps define our reality. Okay? Hopefully by the time you are an adult, you've had enough experiences where you can have a good perception of reality and learn how to move forward from there in terms of what you decide to do with the rest of your life. Because hopefully by the time you become an adult, your parents did a good enough job with you to help you reach a level of understanding of your own self and how you should progress forward with your life. Unfortunately, as it happens too often, although it's done with good intentions, don't get me wrong, it is done in goodwill. Parents push too hard towards a certain direction in which the kid should go. So most of our see parents are your primary mentors through life, whomever your parents are, even if they are not blood related. Parents teach us how to live in a sense. Because the parents are working all day now, 5 days a week, both parents, mother and father, the kid doesn't really get an education at home anymore. The kid gets the education from school and TV and the iPad, YouTube. They don't learn how to think for themselves. Most people walking around you right now, perhaps even you don't think for yourself. You think as you're taught to think. It is important to understand that every life experience you've ever had is important because it helped determine who you are today. You are an accumulation of all your life experiences and everything that is meaningful about them. The ones you can remember, try to see the meaning in those experiences. Which leads me to step number 2. Step number 2 is actually seeing the meaning. For example, growing up from as far back as I can remember until the age of 11 in Romania, I used to play soccer all day long, every single day. Soccer, 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 soccer. I loved it. Heck, I even played it when we had no ball to play with. We just kicked a water bottle around or something. Yeah, I come from that area, that poor. As a neighborhood, we were that poor. And the few times someone actually had one, you either got busted real quick or someone took it. Anyways, I was really good at it. I used to have these visions, these dreams of becoming a professional soccer player. And I thought I would be one of the best. I saw myself as one of the best. No matter what anyone had to say, I knew I was one of the best. Well, when I moved to California, I started going to a school where Latino kids were playing soccer at lunchtime in the schoolyard. And I started playing with them. And what I realized was their skill level was so low compared to mine that I was losing interest in soccer. This is a profound change in my life because all of a sudden I had to develop a whole new reality which was based on removing the one thing that mattered to me most in my life. It was a sad event, as I like to say to myself jokingly. My life has been one trauma after another, one pain after another pain. Afterwards, I tried to develop friendships. And I made a friend, a kid from Nigeria. And this kid liked to draw. He was an artist. I was so impressed with it that I befriended him. We started to talk about things. I don't remember what we talked about, but I assume it related to drawing. Well, one day he asked me to borrow $1. Now, back in those days, in the 90s, I moved here in 97, $1 was a lot to a kid. And I happened to have one, and I gave it to him. And he said he would pay it back to me the following day. And the following day came, and he did not give it back to me. A month passed by. He didn't give it back to me and said nothing. A month later, after a month, I decided to ask him about it. He said nothing. After he said nothing, he came to me the following day and gave me $1 and never talked to me again. And that is when I truly learned. See, looking back now, I'm able to understand the lessons that I learned. See, that was a painful experience. I just lost a friend over a measly $1, and I could not comprehend why for the longest time. But I always remembered that I had that experience. Now I know that that experience alone made me realize that money has no value, that true friendships have value. But I still do not understand his actions. I just try to see the positive and the negative. That's what I do to this day. So, in a sense, our most repressed, painful memories are our best teachers of who we are and why we ended up the way we are. Because after that experience, I was 11 at the time. For years, I did not talk to anyone. I literally acted as a mute, okay? I remember this one specific day at lunchtime. At that specific time, there was this schoolyard which had a really good overview of the city. I could see far into the distance. And I used to like to go next to the fence out there and look at the whole city. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I just wanted to be left alone. And eventually, once in a while, people would approach me. That specific day, there were 3 girls that literally got up in my face and asked, "Hello, is anyone there? Hello, is anyone there? Are you deaf? Can you not talk?" And then they stopped trying. And I just said, "You're just rude," and walked away. I was rude for being silent. One broken friendship influenced my reality for years. In those years, I started to retreat into, looking back, the first days of true mass media, the beginning ages of the internet, the early 2000s. Counter-Strike, oh my goodness, I love that game, a shooting game. Terrorist versus anti-terrorist, see, duality. I got into a game that taught me duality. It's you versus the enemy, but I always like to play the terrorist side because there was this one map, Desert, something Desert it was named. And I used to have this shotgun. No, sniper rifle. And there was this double doors, and I used to aim at it. And always do the same thing over and over, trying to get headshot. Once in a while, I was on the counter-terrorist side, and I tried to charge to the middle of the map with an MP4 with a silencer on and try to kill from that area, catch them by surprise. But I had to be very accurate to do that, and I could only do that once in a while when I was really high. First time I smoked weed was 16. I went into the zone the zone. And I could do it successfully sometimes. It was crazy. I played that game so much that looking back now, the only thing it's taught me was there's always an enemy because you're always competing with someone. And even if you're on a team with 5 others, even those 5 others are your enemy because with them you're competing for the best score, how many more kills you got, how many more headshots you got. That's how you determine skill in that game. But what principle of reality is that teaching you? I detest war, but sometimes they are necessary. I have so many life experiences I could talk about, which were negative, that I turned into a positive. It would take me literally all night long. The important part to take from this is that looking back on all the experiences that I've ever had, I'm able to draw meaning from them, no matter how good or how bad they were. I suppose I could create another video describing my experiences. I'll think about it. But the idea is, for example, oh yeah, that's right. So far I covered number 1 and number 2, which leads me to number 3. Number 3 is understand that if you are 100% in control of your consciousness, you are able to draw from the memories of all your life experiences instantly. Because you have to understand your physical body is finite at this time, but your etheric body is infinite at this time. And infinite. Did I just say infinite? I meant eternal. Although infinite, I have to figure out the difference between the two. But yeah, your etheric body, but your etheric body is infinite. There have been studies done where they've shown that people who have had half their brain removed, which were responsible for certain memories, were able to either not remember nothing at all or remember everything. There wasn't a case of partial not functioning right and partial functioning right. It was mostly either nothing or everything. Well, what that should tell you is that you're targeted, as always. As long as you can have everything, your memories are stored inside all of you. All that makes you you. Okay? If you can function with half a brain normally, like you did before the brain removal, that means that the memories are not stored in the physical brain. They are stored in the etheric, which is eternal. So in a sense, based on fractal geometry, which is a very interesting subject, your finite body, your physical body, houses inside of it all the experiences you've had in your eternal life. It's just that we do not remember them. We only remember this life, the life associated to the physical body, because the physical body is finite. It has a lifespan. If the lifespan perhaps is somehow broken and it's no longer finite, perhaps the access to the other memories come as well. Perhaps that's what transformation of DNA into something more crystalline, high frequency means. Perhaps that's what DNA activation means. A higher state of vibration because there is more stuff being utilized in the present. So then, why is this important to always remember? Well, if you always remember this, you learn that every experience you have in the moment is neither good nor bad, because you're actually having it in the moment. So if you're having it in the moment, you have no way of knowing if it's good or bad until after it's occurred. So you have to be able to approach every situation, every experience in life in a neutral way. But even neutrality has its spaces, like for example, if you're in a relationship and you love your partner, you should always love your partner. There's no breaks in loving your partner. That's neutral. See? In the moment, we have the power to decide whether we utilize all the experiences and the meanings we learned from them that we've ever had in our lives. So if you ever, for example, in my case, I'll share this part because it was important to my awakening, okay? This is very important to me and very personal, but I learned so many lessons from this, so I have to share it. I'll try to make it short. 2007, I go to Romania. I meet a girl that my heart is just boom. The electromagnetic frequencies or whatever kind of frequencies between me and her were just electric. I could feel it in the air like electricity. It was so intense, but it could not manifest except through a kiss. And that kiss truly felt like heaven. That kiss sealed my fate in becoming who I am today. Literally. I love that girl. I still do in many ways to this day, but not the same as before. This happened on a visit to Romania. She lived in Romania at the time. I was there for summer vacation, if you want to call it that, visiting. And when I returned, I wanted to find a way to live over there by making money in a way that did not depend on the Romanian economy, because the Romanian economy was messed up. No jobs and low pay for the few jobs that there were. Like truly poor country. My people were oppressed by Bolshevik communism for 50 years after World War II. They took all our fortunes, all our riches, but they did not take the people. The soul of my powerful people that throughout history have fought off Ottoman invaders countless times, few outnumbered by many, and still won. Perhaps my ancestral lineage goes way back, and I've lived several of these lives in the area where my bond to the land is so strong simply because of all the experiences I've had there long before reality was as controlled as it is today. So I found Forex. Forex is a foreign currency exchange market, and I started trading that, which I saw it as my life call, and I figured, yes, I'm able to find a way to make money now by being, in a sense, self-employed. And I started doing Forex, and in those 3 years, I learned a lot. But I experienced so much pain because I was literally in my room, in my parents' house, whom I love very much, and I am grateful to forever for being as wonderful as they are, no matter what events occur in our lives, no matter how strong our verbal bond is or not, because every relationship goes through phases, right? I will forever be grateful to them. But those 3 years, I saw my room as a prison, okay? Prison of the body and prison of the mind. Because the whole time, I was just thinking about her. Her. She wasn't, there was nothing else that was in my mind. So that's when I really started to get on YouTube to get my mind off of her. And I started to research videos, mostly in the beginning, videos related to Forex trading because I needed to understand what drove it. That's how I learned about fundamentals. Fundamentals being the events that are occurring in the world. And well, the more I learned about world events, the more I realized there are many gaps in what's happening in this reality. Which drove me to have a curiosity of the news that is never told, the forgotten history and the esoteric history of this world. Because it's taboo to talk about things that are spiritual, but I was always drawn to the spiritual, so I always sought it out. Always. I sought out meaning everywhere I looked, and growing up, I watched a lot of anime, like the show Bleach, where there is a spiritual society parallel to the earth, and parallel to hell, and parallel to the, what are they called? The hollow world. In this show, if you live the righteous life, you go to the spiritual society, which is for pure souls in a sense, but there are also different degrees of purity, and even in spirit society, there's laws and districts and inequality. I guess it's so that people that have missed out on certain life experiences have a chance to experience them until they grow out of them. The hollow world is people that after death transformed into monsters. They have gained tremendous, in a sense, physical manifestation power, but in the hollow dimension, not the earth dimension, unless somehow they find a way to get through like a wormhole. So they lose consciousness in a sense. Although some of them, the more powerful they grow, the more powerful the consciousness grows. And the same happens in the soul society. So on the soul society side, it's captains, which in Japanese is Taicho, and hollows. I don't know the word. Maybe that's the word. I forget. But the idea is that parallel, both sides have grown stronger sides. One side wants to destroy the other completely, and the other one wants to save the other side. The classic battle of good versus evil. So you see, even through the anime that I watch, I learn lessons. And even within the lessons, there are lessons. Like for example, when Ichigo, the main character, is fighting his hollow version. In a sense, he's the spirit version versus the hollow version. and they're fighting for control. As the Hollow version says at one point, one day I will be the king, which implies that it's the aspect of your consciousness that is in control. So it's always a battle of good versus evil within our own selves. We, the human, in this physical world, have both the good and bad within us. The spirit or hollow, the captain or hollow. By understanding this so well as I do, I'm able to apply in the moment all the experiences of my life, because I instantly draw power from all of them. So in a sense, you could call it that way, that oh my goodness. So that, oh, holy crap. Being able to do that in the moment, you are literally drawing power from the etheric world into the physical world. So in a sense, the infinite is breaking through the finite. That is how you are shaping this reality, how you are shaping yourself, how you are shaping your mentality. So, if you watch TV and you like to watch the news, and you draw all your knowledge of the world just from the news, that is how you perceive reality. Well, whose reality? It sure isn't yours. What is your reality? Or if you're someone that's very religious and likes to go to church a lot and you're very tight with the church community and everything relates around church community activities, whose thoughts are you really enforcing? Yours or theirs? If you're a workaholic and you dedicate 60 to 70 hours a week to your company to meet deadlines and work on projects with others, whose reality are you living? Yours or theirs? So then I got to a point where I realized this about myself, and I started to look for ways to stop living the reality. The sources that influence me to not think about what I want, how I want to envision my reality, and then eventually live my reality my own way. So I sought out inspiration simply because I was able, still am, constantly, to figure out in the moment the next course of action, drawing on all the experiences I've already had. So for example, the last job I've ever had, I had a partner who falsely accused me of harassment to my superiors, and that meant my removal from the site, although I was offered a different place to work at, a different property with higher pay. When I was offered that, I was so outraged. I told them what had occurred. And what occurred is that when I first started working there, I became aware that she smokes weed. And she noticed that I noticed. And she threatened me that if I say anything, I'll get in trouble. So I didn't know what to do because I was attracted to that sense of power. I was intrigued by this girl. Besides, growing up smoking weed, I never had a problem with it, although at that point I had not smoked weed for 3 years. So I figured, man, what do I do here? So in the moment, I took decisions that, you know what? It's a catch-22. You are damned if you do, damned if you don't. So I told myself, if I don't smoke with this girl, she will find ways to get me removed from the site. And I figured if I do smoke with her, I will earn her trust, but at the same time, expose myself to getting caught by my superiors, the random drug tests or whatever. At this time, weed was not legal. So I smoked with her, just because I was curious about interacting with her. Her personality, in a sense, aroused my curiosity. Although looking back now, I know that the only reason I had the experience I had with her as my partner is because I was meant to learn lessons from it, synchronicities. So I smoked with her, and when I heard the outrageous actions of this girl, I told the guy exactly all that occurred, and I said, no. Either I'm going back to that site, or I tell everyone what happened. And what did I do? They did not want to send me back to that site. In fact, they terminated me for saying that I smoke weed. And I sent an email to my former colleagues to inform them of what had occurred. I figured, you know what? If I burn, I'm taking this lady out with me. I'm taking her down. Looking back now, I don't know if it was the right thing to do or not, but I do know that the lesson to learn is that you will always be exposed to circumstances where your standard of living is in danger. Your comfort is in danger. Your perception of reality is in danger of being changed. That's what causes fear and violence and hatred and anger and stress and all the negative emotions that civilized society suffers from. You get all these things from external sources, and you always forget to look internally for inspiration as to what you should be doing in your life at the moment. In a sense, you're lazy. Well, if you stop being lazy, you learn how to benefit from the moment. Today, for example, I'm walking from the store to this bench. It's raining, it's cold, it's windy. I had just bought a brisk bottle of tea. Is it tea? No, it's lemonade. Lemonade. Brisk on the bottle with a lemon with 4 eyes that looks like a sun, waving a flag with a triangle in its hand and a big old smile and a nose. Looks like a sun, an alien sun, tripping. Alien sun. Alien sun. That's a weird one. Why would I manifest that thought? Interesting. Brisk allows my consciousness to function a little bit better while I'm high. Because smoking weed inspires thoughts in me. By having thoughts inspired, I'm able to manifest things in a way that I'm doing right now. How about the experience of after I was let go, I said to myself, I am done working for other people. Bosses are fucking assholes. So I looked for self-employment again, but I was still not quite ready to get into forex. So I came across the emergency banking. Oh yeah, Emergency Banking Act of 1933, which pretty much abolished the gold and silver standard of this country as a currency, and instead instituted the Social Security account system, which is pretty much saying all the all the debts from that point forward be, would be repaid by human collateral. Human collateral is really the amount of work you put in your life into the system. Well, the reality is you put your entire life into the system. You put it through working, you put it through the money you're spending, you put it through your hobbies, because your hobbies always depend now on society. You can't have a personal life anymore. That option is long gone because we're always connected, see, the 5G frequency grid. So you always have to be on guard because there's always something occurring that's trying to influence your reality. Many times, people themselves are used and they don't even know it in all facets of society. All of them. Cultural, socio-economic, governmental, military, entertainment, all of it, music, all of it. People are doing things that they are not fully conscious and control that they are doing. That's why it's so important to be neutral, have 100% control of consciousness at all times. Like right now, I know I need to ground myself a little bit more because my thoughts are all over the place. Okay, so ground yourself right now. Ground yourself. You see? Boom, just like that. I have manifested something in my reality based on all my life experiences. I need to ground myself because I know what grounding is. I know what grounding is because I researched it. I know also from experience because I've had a lot of experience with it. I am manifesting the etheric into this reality. By manifesting the etheric into this reality, you are demonstrating you are 100% fully conscious of your actions. Well, if you are 100% fully conscious of your actions, like for example, carrying that brisk bottle in my hand, when it's cold outside and my hand's freezing, I saw like the scene from the movie Dune where the guy sticks his hand into that box and he feels all that burning pain, but he doesn't pull the hand out. Even though in his mind's eye, the flesh is falling down. I had that vision in my mind. The box. I saw the cold as the box. My hand's perfectly fine. The cold is the illusion. By learning about the system as it is, because of the Emergency Banking Act of 1933, I realized, wait a minute, Social Security accounts, that means there's accounts illegally in my name, with my straw man, that literally only I have access to because of my signature, and I am the eternal that inhabits this body, but they claim ownership over this body, so they do things in its name. How about I collect on all the work they did in my name? It's only righteous, right? So I tried to pay off my debts that I had accumulated, including my school loan, with my Social Security account. I first started with my Chase card as an experiment. I'm like, there's no way this can be true. How about I just randomly do this right now? So I made a payment. Full balance, $2,500. Well, I was watching like a hawk, updating, refreshing my account balance over and over and over. And eventually, I saw it. The balance was paid off in full with my Social Security account number that is held by the Federal Reserve. Well, when I realized that, I'm like, holy shit. I ain't paying off all my debt this way, no matter what. And if I'm ever taken to court, I will claim access to all my funds. I'm still waiting for the day. And I've done a lot of research on the subject, so I know how to defend myself. I just have to always remember that I am eternal in the etheric plane. But in this body, in this physical body, I am finite. Okay? So they lay claim on the physical body when it is I, the etheric body, that actually rules it. We are one. We are inseparable. As long as I am fully conscious in control of this body, we are inseparable. So what they have done is they created a reality where we are 100% imprisoned, because every aspect of our reality is determined by how they want us to live it. And this depends on materialism. So I tried paying off all my debts that way. Some of them worked, some of them were reversed manually by someone at the Federal Reserve Bank. Well, I still have the picture of the Chase Bank payment of $2,500, which was accepted by from the Federal Reserve. Okay? I have several pictures. I knew I was untouchable. I knew I was sovereign. Okay? So no matter how many emails I get now, no matter how many phone calls, I'm prepared for whatever. Because I know ever since the Napa fires occurred, where they used dew weapons to burn Napa, that it could happen where I live at any time, or they could cause some other event, which they would call them natural disasters, right? I knew that the finite had numbered days anyways, because look at what's happening to the planet. It's being destroyed totally, right? Totally. Life is dying all around us and we are too blind to see it. Start paying attention to the trees. Just look, where is their bark? Where is their bark? Where is their bark? So in a sense, I accepted within myself that I have disconnected from the normal standard of living like everyone else, where I depend on the financial system, because I truly do not depend on the financial system anymore. I depend on living moment by moment. This is what true self-empowerment is, being able to live moment by moment. And the only way to have this is to be 100% in control of consciousness at all times. If you feel your thoughts wandering, try your best to try to accumulate them back into one central thought. But always draw power from the memory of from the lessons learned from your experiences, your memories. Especially how you felt about them and how you came to terms with them in the present. So now I'm at a point where I decide, you know what? If I don't want to depend on the system here, I decided maybe it's time to get out of the system. So I wanted to take kind of like a trip into the wild. And then I was planning it and planning it. And I didn't know how to do it because I had no money. And I figured I would need some supplies of some sort. And I just didn't know how to get those supplies. And I kept thinking about it to the point where I realized, you know what? If I have to do it without supplies, I will do it without supplies. There's a character that supposedly did it for 40 days and 40 nights. I could do the same. But I didn't know which way to go, what exactly the purpose of this trip would be. And then something happened where a tournament occurred where I was exposed to Forex. It was a Forex tournament. And the winning place for number one was $1,200. And with that $1,200, I found myself possibly doing certain things. So then I decided to compete in that tournament and told myself, if I happen to win this tournament, I will delay my trip into the wild. Try to manifest it somehow. And that's when I try to start manifesting it again, okay? And I happened to win that tournament. So after I won it, I asked myself, how is it manifesting? Well, the way it's manifesting actually has two components. One is grounded in the physical plane, and one is grounded in the etheric plane. The physical plane, I am helping my mother out with my nephew. If I fail at what I do, perhaps I can instill a little bit of goodness or lessons, experiences, which maybe will turn into memories for the little guy that are really pleasant. I know my odds are very low because vaccine time is coming up. And if you don't know the vaccine reality yet, it's time to look into it. Combine that with 5G, the destruction of this world, the pollution of everything, and the destruction of critical thought about the right topics. He's just destroying this world. He's got no shot. If nothing changes, he's got no shot. So you see, even if I fail, I have not failed. Because if I haven't been able to do it for anyone else, help them reach the point where they are self-empowered, at least I did it for myself, right? So I figure I'm delaying my trip until he starts going to daycare or whatever. And at that point, I'll take my trip into the wild. And the irony is, see, it's all synchronicities, and I'm always paying attention to events that correlate. That's always important for self-empowerment. So I'm paying attention. At the same time, I'm empowering myself with knowledge from the Bodhi Mantra channel. It's like someone said in one of the comments, a modern library of Alexandria. Beautiful presentation of videos. Beautiful in the sense that if you truly want to discover how this reality works and how you can empower yourself in every facet of society, you have to understand what society is and how it came to be this way. I offer a way to fight current circumstances while he offers an understanding of the circumstances. So in a sense, we have both grown in our own ways. And now, in a sense, we are uniting the ways in a way that I help him grow further and he helps me grow further. Because I am watching all these videos one by one. There's a lesson or multiple lessons in all of them. But all of them have to be seen to get the big picture, which is why it's important to remember your memories. Your memories are your experiences. So now I'm at a point where, ironically, it actually started before I go into his channel, but I became aware of the magnetic north, which is supposedly where the consciousness of Gaia is coming out. The consciousness of the earth is coming out, which supposedly is seen as the aurora borealis, the northern lights, the green lights, which supposedly are a visual manifestation of the electromagnetic frequencies coming from the earth, which just so happened to be green, which is the color of the heart chakra, which means balance, neutrality, which means 100% consciousness, right? So now I know I have to 100% unite my consciousness with 100% consciousness of earth. I am drawn to magnetic north. That is my destination. I feel that if I am exposed to the high frequencies provided by Mother Gaia, which is really her thoughts, she's very much alive, right? Consciousness, our consciousness, Lady Gaia's consciousness. So in a sense, it's a bigger consciousness. It encompasses more things in its world, including all of us, right? Perhaps this way I can remember the history of who I am and how I came to be out here in this reality at this time, and why this reality is the way it is 100%, and what I can truly do about it. So in a sense, every step that I take is preparing me more for this interaction. So because I'm preparing for this interaction, I'm always testing myself. And because I'm always testing myself, I'm 100% conscious of what I do. I hope you see the power in the video I just presented to you. Because with this video, you will become more self-empowered than any seminar, anything you've ever seen. Because what I'm really teaching you to do is kind of like a computer when you access the program files. I have just taught you how to access your program files. As I've come to understand, it comes in incremental steps. You can't access all of it at once. You have to work your way through one thing, then through the next, through the next, through the next. And as you learn more about more things, you learn about how they are correlated. You learn about the pyramid structure. You learn about who really rules this world and why. You realize no harm can come to you because you are always exposed to harm. You realize you are not afraid of death because death does not exist. You are truly self-empowered.